Hey, my name is Kukui and I recently passed my CompTIA Security Plus exam on the first try. I did it in 10 weeks while having a full-time job and just trying to balance life. If you're in a similar position where you're starting to study for the exam, or you've started studying but you need a little bit of direction, this is the video for you. I will tell you exactly how I did it. Let's jump into the first tip. The first thing you're going to want to do is get your base study material. This is the thing that you're going to learn the information from for the first time. I am not a video course person. I find it very difficult to concentrate on lecture style courses, so instead I used a textbook so I could put on my headphones, kind of zone out and just read. So I decided to use this textbook. I would highly recommend it if you are studying for the exam. It goes into just enough detail that you understand why things are being taught, but it's not so much detail that you get bogged down in the minute details that really you don't need for the exam, frankly. But pick the base study material that works for how you learn, whether that's you're an auditory learner, so you prefer a video course, or you're like me where you prefer to read, or if you're somebody who needs a teacher in front of you, maybe an in-person course would be the best thing for you. But pick the base study material that works for how you learn. That's step one. Step two, you're going to start learning the material. I will say this may be a bit controversial, but do not take notes. Do not get lined paper or a notebook and start taking notes. That is not an effective way to study for a certification exam. What you want to do is find a way that you can have consistent active recall of the information that you're doing. And the two best ways to do this is practice exams and flashcards. And to even up the flashcards, you want to use Anki flashcards. Anki flashcards is a digital flashcard tool that works to help your active recall of the information, which is exactly what you're going to need in the exam. Stay away from taking notes. The only time I'd say maybe taking notes makes sense is if there's a topic or a section you really don't understand and you want to flesh it out. But even then, I wouldn't say take notes. Instead, I would make a mind map so that you could mind map all of the things connected to the topic that you don't quite understand. For me, that was cryptography. That took me a while to understand because there's so much to do with that. But refrain from taking notes. As you're going through the textbook, the video course, whatever your base study material, you're going to be creating your Anki flashcards as you read, as you watch, as you're in person. So then when it comes to your study sessions, you already have your studied material. All you're going to have to do during your study sessions is go over your Anki flashcards. I made a different Anki deck for each chapter, and that is how I studied, along with doing practice exams. That is it. No notes, the occasional mind map when I didn't understand the topic, but Anki flashcards are the way to go when it comes to studying. The next thing you're going to want to do is set a study schedule. If it works for you to say, okay, I'm going to study for an hour and a half each day, 2 hours each day, and that works for you and you can be consistent with that, do that. Go in your calendar, block out time that you're going to do that. For me, because life can be a little bit hectic, instead of saying I'm going to study for X amount of time each day, I said per week I'm going to get through 2 chapters. The book I showed you and that I use has 17 chapters in it, so it took me about 8-ish weeks to go through each of the chapters. However I did that, I said to myself I need to do 2 chapters per week. I'm somebody where my energy and my focus is the highest at the start of the week in the morning, so I normally front loaded a lot of my study sessions for between Monday and Wednesday, and then I would do a full-ish day on Saturday and then half a day on Sunday. The Sunday was mainly for going over what I'd learned during the week. I wouldn't really try and learn anything new on Sunday, unless if I hadn't gone through the 2 chapters yet, then I'd use that to catch up. But generally I would go through the 2 chapters during Monday and Saturday. Sunday was purely revision. So once you've gotten through your base material while making your Anki notes and the occasional mind map, now you're in revision mode. This is when you're going to be solely going over the material. So you're going to be using Anki or your paper flashcards to help you with active recall. This is the skill that you're going to need in the exam, because you're going to be presented with a question and you're going to need to be able to recall the information so that you can pick the right answer. Doing this during your study sessions makes the exam so much easier. So during this revision mode time, you're going to be going over your Anki flashcards and you're going to be doing practice exam. I would say in this 2 weeks, once you've done the 8 weeks and you've gone through all of the material, you should be doing a practice exam each day, at least one, doing the exam in timed conditions, because it's a 90-minute exam and that may sound like a long time, but the time flies by. So you want to get used to doing practice exams under exam conditions. Then as you're going through these exams, you'll see a pattern of topics that you may be consistently getting incorrect. Those are the domains and the areas that you know you need to focus on. At this stage, I would get a secondary resource. Professor Messer here on YouTube has a full video course on the different domains and the different topics in the Security Plus exam. Use his channel, go through the specific videos tied to the bits you don't understand. Sometimes having a secondary source or a secondary method of explanation makes understanding that little bit easier. So say if you realize that you keep getting the cryptography questions incorrect, I would go over Professor Messer's cryptography section. Sometimes just having that secondary explanation helps you with your understanding. So at this stage, it's revision, practice exams, and going over your Anki cards. That's it. No new info, and that is it by the 8-week mark. Exams, practice, Anki. That's it. So at this point, it's just rinse and repeat. You're not learning any new material at this point. All you're doing is going over your Anki flashcards. You're going to be doing your practice exams. You're going to be going over the questions from the practice exams that you got incorrect, understanding why. If you need a secondary resource to learn the information or to revise the information, you're going to use Professor Messer's videos. He is amazing and he has a really concise way of explaining things. This is a little bonus tip, but if you're about a week out from your exam and you're not passing all or the majority of the practice exams you're taking, there is no shame in pushing back your exam date. I believe you can change your exam date up to 48 hours before your exam. Don't feel any type of way about feeling, oh, I'm not as prepared as I'd want to be at this point. I'm still not passing all of the exams. Push it back 2 weeks and keep doing the Anki, the practice exam. You'll get there. So those are my tips for passing the CompTIA Security Plus exam. Get your base materials, use Anki, do practice exams, go over the questions you get wrong, use a secondary resource, and just rinse and repeat until your exam, until you go in there and see, congratulations, passed your exam. You got this, I promise you. And I would love if when you do pass your exam, I said when you pass your exam, come back to this video and leave a comment and say, I passed. I'd love to see those. All right, that's it from me. I hope this helped. You got this. All right, bye.